Hi guys, welcome to Chapter 3. How important is nutrition to the inner workings of the human body? In this presentation, we will briefly review the internal functions of the body and how nutrition supports health right down to the cellular level. Nutrition is about more than just eating. That is just the first step. The foods we eat must be broken down into molecular components in order for it to be absorbed and used by our bodies. This process is called digestion, and it happens in two ways. Mechanical digestion is the act of breaking down what we eat into smaller pieces and mixing it with different fluids. This begins in our mouths with chewing and continues in the stomach. Chemical digestion is taking these small pieces of food and breaking them down to the smallest usable components or molecules. These molecules are then absorbed into the body and from there repackaged and distributed to the cells, tissues, and organs where they are used to provide energy, building materials, and support to function. In order to understand how this all works, we have to have some understanding of basic human physiology. The body is composed of many cells that all have different functions and uses. Cells that are grouped together by a specific function are called tissues, for instance, muscle tissue. Tissues then are grouped together to make more complex structures called organs. Most of our organs have several different kinds of tissue present. For example, the heart has epithelial tissues, muscle tissues, and connective tissue. Organs that work together for a specific purpose are known as systems. For example, the nervous system includes the brain, spinal cord, and all the nerves throughout the body. Once you put all these systems together, you have an organism, in our case, a human. All of these different levels in the body have nutritional needs. Cells are the basic structural and functional unit of life. Organisms such as bacteria may be made up of one cell, but we have many. Every cell has a cell membrane, cytoplasm, and organelles. Organelles, or little organs, function within the cell through many different physical and chemical activities. All the chemical processes that take place in the cells of your body are your metabolism, and we need enough energy to support it. Let's review some of the functions of the different parts of the cell. The cell membrane keeps everything together in the cell and is a gatekeeper of sorts. The membrane functions in determining what goes in and out of a cell. Cytoplasm is the jelly-like fluid where the organelles are suspended and also contains different molecules for the organelles to use. Mitochondria make energy for the body to use it is the powerhouse of the cell. Most cells have a nucleus which holds the genetic material and codes that determine how the cell functions. The endoplasmic reticulum creates proteins for cell use. The Golgi complex packages and distributes these proteins either in or outside the cell. Lysosomes help to eliminate waste and other products not needed by the cell. And peroxisome seek out toxins and eliminate them. Cell metabolism refers to all the chemical reactions that are required to happen to sustain life. There are two types of reactions: anabolic, that puts together and uses energy, and catabolic, that breaks things apart and creates energy. Breaking down carbohydrates, fats, and proteins create energy, while other nutrients provide the enzymes, vitamins, and minerals needed to support these processes. Anaerobic, without oxygen, metabolism of glucose occurs in the cytoplasm and will create some energy, but also create some waste products. Aerobic, with oxygen, metabolism occurs in the powerhouse of the cell, the mitochondria, by converting food energy to ATP, or cellular energy. These chemical reactions are occurring in most of the cells of the body 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even while you sleep. Moving up, we have the tissues and body systems. There are 4 major tissue types found throughout the body. Epithelial tissue makes up most of our skin, lines every cavity, and creates the membranes that surround every organ. Connective tissue helps hold things together and is also found throughout the body. Muscle tissue provides for internal organ function, as well as our ability to move through the world. Finally, nervous tissue provides the communication between the nervous system and the rest of the body. It monitors everything and makes decisions about how to manage the information and if a reaction is needed. These 4 tissues make up every organ in our bodies in a unique way. These organs form the systems needed for human function. All of these are required systems and must remain functioning at some level all the time. The only system that is not required for individual life is the reproductive system. That is required for the survival of the species. Let's review some of the functions of these systems. 2 systems in the body are responsible for how different fluids move throughout the body. The cardiovascular system is the major transportation system for everything from oxygen to food to chemicals to fluid. It consists of a pump, the heart, and the circulatory vessels. There is special circulation in the GI tract called portal circulation to help get the nutrients from our food where they need to go more quickly. The other system that transports fluid is the lymphatic system, which circulates fluid called lymph and helps maintain the amount of fluid held within our tissues. It is also a large part of our immune system. There are special lymph vessels in the digestive system called lacteals that help absorb and transport fats efficiently. Some other systems that play a role in maintaining our nutritional system include the urinary system that removes waste and excess fluid, the nervous system that monitors levels of nutrients in the body and tells us when we're hungry, the endocrine system that contains hormones that control much of our metabolic function, and our immune system that provides protection from invading pathogens. Obviously, the most important system in regards to our nutritional status is the digestive system. If this is not functioning or not functioning properly, our nutritional state can decline pretty rapidly. The digestive system is responsible for the breakdown and absorption of the nutrients we need for survival. It moves the food we eat through the gastrointestinal or GI tract through a process called motility using waves of muscular movement called peristalsis. The process of digestion begins as soon as we put something in our mouths. Our taste buds for sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami send flavors signals to the brain, while our teeth, tongue, and saliva begin the process of digestion. Once we have completed chewing, the food is called a bolus and is swallowed into the esophagus. Peristalsis moves the food towards the stomach and the sphincter, or ring of muscle, that separates the stomach from the esophagus opens to allow the bolus to flow into the stomach. The stomach is a hollow muscular organ that holds about 4 cups of food and continues the digestive process. Churning of the stomach muscles continue the mechanical breakdown, and acid is added to continue the chemical breakdown. Once this process is complete and the bolus moves towards the stomach exit, the broken down food is called chyme. This passes through another muscular ring called the pyloric sphincter into the small intestine. The pyloric sphincter also regulates how much chyme enters the intestine to make digestion and absorption more efficient. The small intestine is a long, hollow tube about 1 inch in diameter and a total of nearly 10 feet in length. This is where digestion is completed and most of the absorption occurs. The first section, or duodenum, is where alkaline secretions are added to the chyme to reduce the acid and protect the intestinal tissues. Additional pancreatic enzymes and bile are also added and mixed to complete the chemical digestion. The next 4 feet are called the jejunum, which digestion is completed and absorption begins in earnest. The last 5 feet, or ileum, completes most of the nutrient absorption. The chyme moves through the length of the small intestine via peristalsis. What makes the small intestine able to absorb all the nutrients? Finger-like projections called villi and microvilli. This increases the surface area the chyme contacts and allows for almost total absorption. For example, only about 5% of carbohydrates remain at the end of the small intestine. Absorption occurs in the intestine by several different mechanisms. Passive diffusion is where a substance will simply move from higher to lower concentration until equilibrium is achieved. Facilitated diffusion requires a carrier protein, but also moves from higher to lower concentration. Active absorption requires a carrier and energy, as this movement may be from lower to higher concentration. Finally, phagocytosis, cell eating, and pinocytosis, cell drinking, occur where the absorbing cell surrounds the substance and takes it directly into the support cell for transport and distribution to the body. Now what is left, stool, leaves the small intestine and enters the cecum of the large intestine through the ileocecal valve, which also controls the amount of stool at one time. The cecum is a pouch located in the right lower quadrant of the abdomen and is where your appendix is located. From here, the large intestine travels up your R side, ascending colon, toward your liver, then turns at the hepatic flexure, travels across your abdomen, transverse colon, towards your spleen, then turns at the splenic flexure, and travels down the left side, descending colon. From here it becomes the sigmoid colon, which is a short tube connecting the descending colon with the rectum. The stool will pass into the rectum and then be expelled. What's the purpose of this long, large intestine? Absorption, but in this case, mostly water. When the stool reaches the large intestine, it is a watery liquid. As the stool moves through the large intestine, the water is absorbed along with the food nutrients that the bacteria in the large intestine release. By the time the stool reaches the end of the large intestine, it is a soft, solid material called feces. Now we have absorbed all these nutrients, what happens to it? Some of it is processed for immediate use, but much of it will be stored. If nutrients aren't stored for use, we would need to eat continuously to provide what our bodies need. Fat is stored in adipose tissue. Carbs are stored in the liver and muscles of glycogen. Some vitamins and minerals are stored while others are excreted. These stores provide our bodies with the energy they need between meals. A word about vitamins. I know they sound healthy, but be aware that some vitamins can become toxic. Nutrition does play a role in our genetics, mostly by causing changes in our genes. Nutritional substances can help repair and support the DNA in our bodies. This is a new science, and we're only discovering how great is the role that nutrition plays in genetics and what their relationship is. What we do know is that there is a two-way relationship. Nutrition can both affect and be affected by a person's genetic makeup. We know there are many diseases that have both a genetic link and are affected by our nutrition. Heart disease is one of the most common. Many different diseases that affect the heart are genetic and pass from generation to generation. But we also know that nutrition, via cholesterol and blood lipid levels, plays a role in heart disease as well. Obesity, diabetes, and even some cancers have both genetic and nutritional links. It is possible that through nutrition, we can help delay or even prevent some of the genetic predisposition for certain diseases. Knowing that there are both genetic links and nutritional links to certain diseases can help us make better choices to lower our risks. Looking at family history or even having a genetic profile can help identify risks and help personalize your nutritional needs to help prevent expression of a particular disease-producing gene. Concerns about routine genetic testing and protection of a person's privacy are still being debated. There can be problems that occur within our digestive systems that affect our ability to eat, digest, or absorb the nutrients we need to survive. Ulcers can occur, causing erosion of the tissue. GERD, constipation, hemorrhoids, or irritable bowel syndrome can impact a person's desire to eat or ability to digest and absorb food. Something as simple as poorly fitting dentures will affect someone's ability to eat. Other issues that can impact more than just nutrition include diarrhea, which can quickly lead to dehydration and electrolyte imbalance, gallstones that can occlude the ducts from the pancreas and liver, and celiac disease that is an immune response to gluten, causing inflammation in the digestive system. We usually don't think of how important our digestive system is until something goes wrong. Quote of our day: remember, this is true of both food and emotions. What we eat determines how well our digestion works.